This evening, inspired by the determined efforts of my colleague Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. My colleague, who's made clear by delivering his 200th floor speech on climate change, is committed to raising awareness about and urging action on this very real threat to our environment. Let me speak briefly as someone trained in science as a chemist. I am troubled that time and again I'm called to this chamber to defend and advocate for science. We live in a time of unprecedented scientific advances. Throughout our history, we've turned to science to help us solve both domestic and international crises. Science was there, for example, to do battle against the Ebola outbreak, threats from hurricanes and other natural disasters, and the dangers of cigarette smoke or lead exposure. It was scientists who helped find a cure, provide early warning, who educated us, and who influenced politics to lead to policies that led to stronger industry and consumer safety standards in facing all of these threats. The scientific method has saved lives and ensured our survival. So why don't we more widely embrace the science of prediction, mitigation, and adaptation to the effects of climate change? Climate change is real. We know climate change is already happening, although it is slow, gradual, and often hard to perceive. Its effects will impact human health, agricultural production, national security, an unbelievable range of concerns that should motivate us together. Yet I have colleagues who either aren't convinced or don't understand that climate change is a real and pressing threat. Let me briefly cite one meta-study of scientific opinion. It surveyed 13,950 peer-reviewed articles and studies on climate change and found only 24 of them rejected global warming, less than 0.2%. So although there is not unanimous opinion, when there's 99.8% agreement in the scientific community, we should agree that this degree of certainty is enough to take action. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is an aphorism that dates back to the early 1700s. Why are we waiting? Let's change our ways. Let's work together to lower greenhouse gases, combat pollution, and slow the impact of climate change. As someone who represents the state of Delaware, I'm passionate about this because we are the lowest mean elevation state in America. I've heard from folks up and down the first state, from my colleague, Senator Carper, from our governor, from our community leaders, from concerned citizens, from Wilmington to Rehoboth to Middletown, that they're concerned about sea level rise and its likely impact on our state. We need to do more because in my small state, sea level rise is happening at twice the national rate. And in about 100 years, everyone in Delaware will finally have a beach house, just not the way they want it. So let me conclude by saying we need to look forward, not backward, when addressing climate change and sea level rise. We need action, not reaction. We need policy, not politics. We should act today, not tomorrow. Mr. President, I want to say again to Senator Whitehouse, thank you. It was my pleasure to have him visit my home state of Delaware and see what we're doing to plan for and to combat sea level rise as a result of climate change. And it was my honor to join you this evening and lend my support to you, to our environment, and to the fight against climate change. And Mr. President, I yield to my senior colleague from our shared home state of Delaware.